This is an ordinary life vest, cork, canvas, a small metal tag. Objects like it were mass-produced by the thousands and meant to be forgotten the moment they weren't needed. This one was needed on the coldest night of a war, aboard a ship carrying more people than any ship in history ever had before or has since. Its name was the Wilhelm Gustloff. This is its story, and this vest's. The Wilhelm Gustloff was launched in 1937, built as a flagship of a Nazi government leisure program that offered ordinary German workers affordable ocean cruises, a floating symbol of national pride. Our vest came aboard new that year, one of over 1,000 identical vests stocked in cabin closets. For its first years, it did nothing at all. It simply waited, folded, while the ship carried vacationers along the Norwegian fjords and the Mediterranean coast. For 2 years, the Gustloff lived a comfortable life: dinners, dance halls, calm seas. Passengers rarely thought about the vests in their closets at all. That comfort ended in 1939, when Germany invaded Poland and the Second World War began. The ship's cruising days were over. Repainted gray, the Gustloff spent most of the war anchored in the Baltic port of Gdynia, serving as a floating barracks and training ship for German submarine crews. Our vest stayed aboard the whole time, moved now to a cramped bunkroom, shared by dozens instead of a handful. It still hadn't been used. That was about to change. By January 1945, the war was collapsing on the Eastern Front. The Soviet army was advancing fast, and hundreds of thousands of German civilians in East Prussia fled toward the coast, hoping for one of the evacuation ships. The Gustloff, built to carry about 1,900 people, took on more than 10,000 refugees, wounded soldiers, and naval personnel, packed into every hallway and stairwell. Our vest was finally pulled from storage and handed to one of them. The ship left port on the evening of January 30th, 1945, escorted by only a couple of smaller vessels. To avoid mines, its running lights stayed on, a decision that made it easier to see in the dark from any direction. Somewhere beneath the waves nearby, a Soviet submarine, the S-13, had already spotted it. At 9:16 p.m., the submarine fired 3 torpedoes. All 3 struck home. Within minutes, the ship began listing hard to port. Alarms sounded through decks never designed to hold this many people. Our vest, worn now, buckled tight, was suddenly no longer a spare piece of equipment. It was the only thing standing between its wearer and the freezing Baltic Sea. The ship's lifeboats, never enough for the number aboard, even in the best conditions, were frozen solid to their davits by weeks of Baltic ice. Many couldn't be launched at all. In the chaos, our vest did exactly what it was built to do. Nothing more, nothing less. It kept one person's head above water while a ship built for 2,000 people and carrying 5 times that rolled onto its side. Less than an hour after being struck, the Wilhelm Gustloff went under. It remains the deadliest single shipwreck in history, deadlier than the Titanic and the Lusitania combined. Estimates of the dead range from about 5,000 to over 9,000. No exact count was ever possible, because no exact count of who boarded ever existed. Our vest and the person wearing it were now just 2 small shapes among thousands in freezing water, in the dark. Nearby escort ships turned back and pulled just over 1,000 survivors from the water in the hours that followed. Our vest was one of the few things still floating when the rescue ships arrived, doing to the very end exactly the one job it was made for. Despite the scale of the loss, the Gustloff disaster is barely known outside of Germany and Poland. It happened during the collapse of Nazi Germany to a ship named for a Nazi Party figure, sunk by a wartime enemy, a tragedy with no simple side to root for, in a story most nations preferred to move past quickly. The wreck still lies in the Baltic Sea today, a protected war grave. Divers still occasionally find small pieces of it, buttons, dishware, and yes, sometimes a vest like this one. It never made headlines. It never had a name. It simply did its job on the worst night of thousands of lives, and that's the only reason any of this is remembered at all.